Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Urban Update. I'm Byron Barnett. On the show this morning, we'll have some great news about one of our city's high schools, which recently won a prestigious national award. Also on the program, information on the need for more big brothers and big sisters of color to serve the growing list of young boys and girls in our community that need this important mentoring program. But up first, as of 2 weeks ago, 100 Boston police officers and 8 members of the command staff are now wearing body cameras on the streets of Boston. The initiative is a 6-month pilot program to see whether citywide implementation of body cameras would work in Boston in the wake of several high-profile police shootings. The topic has been part of a larger national conversation around the police community. In Boston, activists and community groups have been pushing for body cameras since 2014, following the fatal shooting of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. Según Idowu, co-organizer of the Boston Police Camera Action Team, a citizen group that has advocated for cameras, joins us this morning to offer his views on this new development. Welcome to Urban Update, Según. Great to see you. Welcome back to
Thanks
Urban Update. You've been on before. Why don't we just start by talking about your rationale for this? You've been advocating for a long time for body cameras. What is your initial argument for putting body cameras on police?
Well, I think it's important to note that the reason why the Boston Police Camera Action Team, or BPCAT, was formed was not really to push for the idea that body cameras are necessary, but really to push that the community should play the largest and loudest role in shaping the policy. We knew cameras were going to be on Boston police officers in 2016 or 2026, so for us, policy was the most important piece of this.
Okay. Now, I imagine we've had more shootings just this week. Police shooting of Terrence Crutcher and the videos down in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that gives us a clearer picture of what happened. Is that what sort of makes the case for body cameras, you think?
Well, and there's also Keith Lamont Scott in North Carolina. We've seen protests erupt there. I would say that the presence of cameras, really what this particular incident shows us is that cameras are not the silver bullet, and that's an argument that we've been making ever since we were formed, that cameras are not the only solution, just a piece of it, and shows that cameras are not the only way to, or don't always stop these incidents from happening. Really what it does is prove what people of color have been saying for hundreds of years, and most recently for decades, that police don't treat us properly, or don't treat us the same way they do white citizens, and it shows that we're not lying, that we're not making this up, and that these aren't rare instances, but they happen pretty much every day.
Yeah, and it's really just the development of this technology, because not everybody has a camera, so that's why we see all of this now.
Absolutely, and it's really having a negative effect on people of color, the fact that we are reliving these moments daily. We already go through in our personal lives instances of discrimination, and then to meet other people of color at the moment of their death has a deleterious effect on us.
Now, in Boston, this is a 6-month pilot program. What are you hoping comes about this? What are you hoping to see?
Well, I think we already know what's going to happen. We've spent now 771 days pushing for cameras and for proper policy. The commissioner and the mayor have already committed in public statements to a full program. So we know that this is coming. We're just trying to make sure that the policy that the Boston police have put in place is something that's going to work for the community. We're still pushing that our policy be the one that is adopted, but we'll be working out the kinks with this pilot program.
Okay, and when you talk about policies, what are some of the policies or points that you want to try to work into this body camera program?
Mm-hmm. Well, the policy that exists right now is a good chunk of what we put together with the ACLU, Harvard Black Law Student Association, Digital Forth, several other organizations in the community. For instance, they already outlawed the idea of facial recognition software with body cameras, which was one of our top concerns. And within the policy now, officers only turn the cameras on for certain instances. For instance, if they pull you over, the camera should be on. If they're investigating a certain situation or believe that you're acting suspiciously, they have to record those incidents. They cannot be on in churches. They can't be on in locker rooms and places where there's a reasonable expectation of privacy. What's not in the policy and things that we're still pushing for, or things that we want to rework, is the fact that officers can review footage before submitting their report. This is something that we are completely opposed to, and which Commissioner Evans actually admitted on the stand.
That's right.
During the body camera trial a few weeks ago, that he also was against this particular measure. So we're hoping that during this pilot we rework that and make it that officers can't review the
That's right.
footage.
The commissioner is opposed. He wanted officers to write the reports before viewing the video.
Right.
And what is the thinking behind that?
The rationale
they're going
is
to look at the video and shape their
absolutely. It is very possible.
report?
The New York Times did a study on this as well that they released back in June. That it is very possible for you to manipulate video evidence. Just if you tell someone what they should expect when watching video, then it's easy for you to then watch the video, and that fits the narrative that's been created for you.
Now, it seems like many of the proponents for the cameras were in the, I guess, inner cities, predominantly black communities. Is that what you found?
No, I mean, I would say that, this effort was led by people of color, both men and women of color, but we found broad support across the city. When we first started in 2014, we did a survey of the entire city to make sure that this was something that they wanted us to push. We didn't want to show up to City Hall and say that we are representing the community and there was no one standing behind us. So we saw that we found broad support even amongst officers for these tools.
Why, let's talk about that for a minute. Now, there was a lawsuit. The police union was trying to put a hold on this, but the court obviously sided with the supporters of the body camera program. Why was there so much resistance from the police union? That might confuse people.
Yeah, I would say that I don't think the going against it came from the union itself. I think it came from Patrick Rose and his executive team. Throughout this process, the president of the union, but the members of the union did not support that action. There were a number of officers that talked to us off the record that said that they were acting very bullheaded, and the commissioner himself, which we agreed with, which was an odd place to be, but even the commissioner himself said that such a position posed or put his officers in danger of making the officers seem as if they also were against this reform measure for them.
You say you've talked to a lot of police officers who support wearing of body cameras?
I mean, I know police officers. There are some in my family. There are some in the families of the members of our organization. But even if not, again, we did not want to prepare a policy that was one-sided, that was lopsided. We wanted to make sure that everyone who was a stakeholder, that their views were represented by the policy that we produced. And so we talked to a number of officers before putting this policy together.
Take us through what you understand to be the protocol is. When does the officer turn it on? When does he turn it off?
So again, the officer, when they pull you over, the camera has to be on. If they, believe that you're acting suspiciously, they have to turn the camera on before investigating the situation. The camera can be on, and this was a huge issue in terms of privacy. A lot of people are wondering, can the camera be on in my home? And according to the BPD policy, the camera can be on in the home, but it's with the consent of the person inside of the house. And if the person does not give consent, it has to be turned off.
My understanding is that the spirit of this is that it should be on when the police officer interacts with the public.
Right.
That's when obviously
right. And they
conflicts
do
develop.
lay out specific instances where it should be turned off as well.
Are there other cities? Are there any other cities in Massachusetts that have body cameras?
Methuen, Worcester. I know the Essex County Sheriff Department has been, testing body cameras for about 2 years now. And very interestingly enough, Gill, Massachusetts, which is a very small town in Massachusetts, they had 2 officers, and half of their department was testing body cameras, 1. So for the last 2 years, Gill has had more body cameras than Boston.
So and what have you been hearing about the feedback from some of these officers? If they have half the department there, you say, is testing them, and half not wearing them.
Well,
what is the result? What's the impact?
Well, at least everything I've read has said that police departments both in Massachusetts and across the country are embracing this technology. They are acknowledging the benefits both for the citizen, but really for their officers in their department. It's helping with either when it comes to discipline or for training for their officers.
Officers, these cameras, I guess, potentially could help officers too.
Absolutely.
Help show that they're doing the right thing.
Exactly. And officers we spoke to, especially myself, said that they want these cameras so that we can see the tough job that they do every day.
What do you see the trend? Do you think this is the trend is that there's going to be more body cameras in more police departments across the country?
Absolutely. And again, this is why BPCAT was formed. We knew that cameras were coming. And for citizens, this is one of the only tools that we get to dictate how it's used because it's filming us. We cannot dictate to a store owner how their camera should be used. We can't tell banks how their ATM camera should be used. But these cameras that are going to be in our faces, in our homes, on our streets, we can determine how they're used. And that's why we were formed.
Okay. Según Idowu, thanks for coming in for BPCAT. the CAT,
Thank you very much.
Boston Police Camera Action Team. We'll see we'll see what they say about this in 6 months when the pilot program ends. We'll have you back on the show and see what the fallout is.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, thanks for coming in. When we come back, some great news about one of our public high schools and a prestigious award. All the details right here on Urban Update.